Well, welcome everybody. I'm Frank Salem, the CEO of Vital Plus, and my guest today is Fiona Tuck, a visionary in the world of wellness. Fiona is also the author of the groundbreaking book, The Forensic Nutritionist, where she unveils the profound connection between what we eat and how we feel and look. She's not just the thought leader, but Fiona is also the innovative mind behind the VitalSol products, which now Vital Plus has the honor and the privilege to distribute. Now, the VitalSol products is where Fiona put all her passion in nurturing, in finding ways to nurture the skin from the inside out. So Fiona, thank you very much for being here with me to discuss all things about the beauty industry. In particular, we're going to dive into what the word beauty means. I want to start today by addressing the health and the lifestyle issues within the industry. I know it's a sensitive subject, but how do you approach conversations with beauty professionals about the importance of personal health for professional credibility?
This is a sensitive subject.
I know it is.
Tricky one too, actually, because we do work in the beauty industry and it's all about aesthetics. And that means different things to different people.
Yeah.
For some people that means, having a face full of filler. Some people it means being stretched back. Other people it means having these big thick lashes and big lips. And I think we're in a society where a lot of us are walking around, we've all been there, done that. And it's not necessarily reflecting what I would call beauty. It's quite interesting, the society that we have become, I believe. And I think, when we're talking about beauty, for me, it is something that radiates from within. It's about being a beautiful person, a kind person. It's about radiating health and wellness. And it's about, I believe, natural beauty. I don't believe we should have to. I wear makeup and I wear more if I'm on camera, but it's not about having to hide our skin. It's about working in an industry where we're using great topical skincare, we're having regular skin treatments, we're taking care of our bodies, so our skin is radiating from within, so we don't have to hide it with, shovels of makeup, which a lot of these young girls are doing and the tweens are doing. They've got their primers and makeup sprays and their lashes and their long nails. And I'm hoping that we will sort of now turn that corner and look at more of an integrative approach to health and wellness and beauty, and it being more about beauty from within and health being radiated from within. And I think that does come down to professionals learning about nutrition, about how to take better care of themselves. Because as a client, you are going to be looking at that person that is giving you advice about skin. And I know as a client, I'm looking at that person thinking, well, why would I take advice from you if your skin's not great? Why would I take nutrition advice from you if you're out the back eating McDonald's and drinking all these fizzy drinks and soda drinks? So I think it is important that we do practice what we preach, because the client wants to, well, it's a little bit like going to Disneyland, they want to see everything and they want to be part of it. And if the therapist isn't walking the walk and talking the talk, then it's a little bit like going to Disneyland and seeing Mickey Mouse without his head on. It's a little bit disappointing. And so I think we can do better as an industry to really lift that bar and remember, yes, it's about aesthetics and what we look like, but it's also about that inner health and inner wellness.
I believe that beauty and health are very close. They're two different words, but they're very closely linked. And I feel that you were just saying how, someone spends so much time in putting on all the makeup and doing the eyelash brows and doing the finger, the nail polish and everything. If they spent half that time in looking into what they're cooking, what they're preparing, what they're buying to to eat and what, maybe even doing a bit of a walk or something, to work on their health, their beauty will just happen naturally.
Absolutely, and I think that comes down to educating people about what they should be eating, what is a healthy diet, because what we think is healthy quite often actually isn't, because people think a lot of these ultra-processed health foods are healthy, when now and again, absolutely fine, but they're not necessarily health foods. So I think it's about educating and really self-love, actually. It's about learning to love ourselves. And when you learn to love yourself, you're a lot more careful what you put into your body, because you want to be around for longer.
And not just for longer, but also to be active for
and
longer.
Healthy and feel better. Absolutely. I mean, I don't really drink alcohol. Occasionally I'll go out and have one drink, but I'm certainly not someone that goes out every weekend and has, multiple drinks, or some people drink alcohol every night. I know that even just that one drink, if I have in an evening, if I go out for dinner, I'm not going to sleep as well. And I will notice even the next day that I've had alcohol in my system, because technically it's a poison, right? But some people just are bombarding their bodies with all sorts of artificial substances that we call food, or alcohol that we call pleasure. And I think it really comes back down to basics and understanding what healthy eating is. It's not complicated. And learning to love ourselves and care for ourselves a little bit better.
I know there's a lot of misconception. You're talking about alcohol, and people think, that they do sleep really well when they've had a couple of glasses. But what they don't realise is they wake up through the night many times where they don't remember, and their REM sleep is out, and it's really important.
You don't sleep. You don't get that deep restorative sleep when you drink alcohol. So if somebody's drinking alcohol every night, they're not going to be getting that restorative sleep. And if we're not getting restorative sleep, it will affect our skin. We're not going through that deep repair and regeneration, and it can even affect our brain health and put us more at risk of things like dementia and Alzheimer's as well.
And I know that the cheapest thing you can do to your health is just have a great night's sleep.
It's beauty sleep, right? That's where the name comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that beauty therapists are in a position where they can initiate a conversation about health, inner health, with their clients? Is that a role that you think that they can take?
I think it comes down to training, and I think it comes down to staying within scope of practice. So I definitely don't think that skin therapists, beauty therapists, dermal clinicians, unless they have a background in nutrition, should be talking to their clients in depth about nutritional advice. That is out of scope of practice. And if you don't know what you're talking about, you can get into very deep, murky waters, and potentially it could be very dangerous for a client. So we should always stay within scope of practice. But I definitely think a therapist can be talking about lifestyle advice and some very basic, generic, safe nutrition advice. Such as upping the plant foods, cutting down on the ultra-processed foods, but not getting specific with the client about cutting out particular food groups, or recommending, mega doses of individual nutrients, because that is out of scope of practice. But I think if they can talk about their own personal experiences and how things have helped them, then there's a fine line, and that's something that I'm passionate about helping to educate on, where that fine line is, what we can do to support and help our clients, and that's really where the Vitasol comes in. That was something I developed that was a whole food product that therapists could recommend to clients, but kept them still within scope of practice. So they can literally match the product to the condition of the skin and to the topical skincare treatment and treatments or product, should I say, and treatments in clinic. So then they're not having to go, well, how many milligrams, and what about this, and are you getting enough of this particular nutrient in their diet? That's out of scope of practice. And I do find therapists won't talk about anything that they're not confident about. We need to be confident, and we need to have authenticity, and we need to know and have authority about what we're talking about. So it's very important that we don't fake it and pretend to know things and tell our clients something if we're not confident. But it does start with the therapist first and foremost taking care of themselves and practicing what they preach, so that they can say, hey, I tried this greens product and it was amazing. This is the difference that I noticed. I think this would be great for you because you've got problematic skin.
Right.
So we can talk on that level, but definitely not on a in-depth nutritional level, because that is out of scope.
Yes, because I remember that one of the things that you had in your book was the face mapping. And just by looking at the face, you can look at different organs, if they're inflamed or not functioning as well. But that probably goes over the line of what you were saying, a beauty therapist can really...
It's really about, I always think about with skin analysis, it's about being the skin detective. And I also believe that the face never lies, the skin never lies, and it's telling us a story. So quite often, I could look at someone and I can see if they've not been sleeping well, if they've been having a diet that's got way too much ultra-processed foods and sugar and alcohol. It's all going to show on the skin. You can also tell things like insulin resistance and hormonal imbalances by looking at the skin. That comes with the trained eye, and that comes with experience. And I did talk about that in my book. But of course, if somebody has got, redness and irritation between the eyebrows, for instance, you can't say to a client, you've got a liver issue, because we don't know, right? But it might just be a little bit of a hint. It's one of the clues, part of the consultation that goes, oh, I wonder what's going on there, and we can ask some more questions.
Let's see how much water you're drinking.
That's right. It's about giving hints. And giving the clues and picking up on the clues. And that's coming from just experience. Quite often we get breakouts around the chin, around ovulation, or, females around that time of the month. Hormonal acne does tend to come up around the jaw area. So that there are little things that occur that, eyebrows can change when there's thyroid issues, for instance, or even adrenal stress, which can be linked with thyroid. So looking at the face, if you're quite in tune, you can sometimes pick things up, but it's about giving us clues. It's not a definite, because obviously that would then be a doctor that does all the pathology and would diagnose. We can't diagnose anything. We can't tell. We may be off, we may think, is it that? And then do a little bit more digging and it's not that at all. Or it may be that. But it's just about giving us a little bit of extra information to dig a bit deeper to find out what's causing those issues that the client is experiencing.
Fiona, with the creation of the Vitasol products, or I should say supplements really, you've championed the idea of supporting skin health from the inside out. Can you tell me a little bit more about how they work and how it connects, if I eat something, how it connects with my skin?
Absolutely. Well, I really felt there was a bit of a gap in the skincare industry. We're all about topical skincare and treatments, but the missing link is good nutrition, because what we eat, what we put into our bodies is ultimately going to make up the skin cell, right? We're only as good as what we eat. We are made of what we eat, literally. So topical skincare, of course, is vitally important because it's going directly onto the skin. But for our skins to perform at their optimum, we need to be giving the skin the right nutrition. We need to be getting, the right amount of healthy fats and proteins, vitamins, minerals, and we also want to be supporting the gut health, because our gut health is also going to influence our skin health. So each product at Vitasol is designed to support different skin conditions. I've looked at which, nutrients and plant compounds that are going to support different skin conditions. And so you simply match the product to which condition you are treating. Right. But I'm very much about food first, rather than just popping a synthetic vitamin pill, because they work very, very differently. We might need an isolated high-dose vitamin supplement, for instance, or mineral supplement if there is a nutrient deficiency or depletion. But that is going to have a knock-on effect to other nutrients in the body and other biochemical reactions. So for every action, there is a reaction. We know that getting your nutrients from food is very, very different. So that's going to mean we're going to get fibres and prebiotics and plant compounds. We're going to get vitamins and minerals in smaller amounts as we would in our diet. They're working synergistically together, and they're having very profound effects on biochemical responses within the body to allow the body, or to allow the cells, to activate their own cellular defense mechanisms rather than take a high dose synthetic vitamin that's going to knock everything out and do the job. So we don't then rely on synthetic vitamins, we rely on the nutrients from food to optimize ourselves to work at their optimum health. I'm very passionate about that. And so Vitasol really are whole food products that we have sourced from all around the world, organically grown where possible. Most ingredients are certified, third-party certified organic. So you know you're getting the purest ingredient, the highest quality ingredient that we're blending together in powder form for maximum bioavailability. I'm very, very passionate about quality. I want to know where those ingredients have come from, how they've been grown. For me, that's important. But what's also really important is what else goes into that product, because most products out there will have a lot of, I believe, unnecessary excipients. So we've got fillers and bulking agents, we've got emulsifiers, we've got solubilizers, we've got preservatives. All of these ingredients are deemed safe. You know, we get them in a lot of processed food. However, I believe, you know, we want to get our food as close to nature as possible, because ultimately the more of these ingredients we have, like emulsifiers, etc., that can have an adverse effect long-term on the gut microbiome or on gut health, particularly for those people that are prone to gut issues and people, you know, like Crohn's disease and things like that. So the closer to nature as possible, and that is really what we've tried to do with the Vitasol products. So they're all derived from natural whole foods.
I wanted to ask you something about the fish, because I don't eat meat, or I might eat meat once in a while, but I try and get fish about twice a week. And I'm always, you know, oh, should I buy the salmon, because it's all farmed, and I love salmon, but I don't want to eat salmon that's been raised by pellets and antibiotics and ingest all of that into my system. Is there a fish that you recommend to eat if you want to get source from
It's hard
food?
to get. I mean, you can look around and sometimes you can get the wild caught, but it is hard to get
today, isn't it?
And I'm with you. I mean, I love salmon, but then I'm thinking,
you have to go to Canada to get wild caught
so
salmon.
I think it's about doing the best you can do, not getting too caught up on it. And when we get that variety and diversity in the diet, you're not going to overdose on any one thing. Like, you can overdose on nutrients, you can overdose on, you know, the same food, and then you're getting all the same compounds into your body, whether they're good ones or bad ones. So that is another reason why diversity is so important.
So important,
And we only use wild caught, by the way, with Vitasol. So
it's wild, so it's not fed with pellets and...
No, it's not. And interestingly, the salmon, the farmed fish, they do actually give them astaxanthin because that's what they naturally will eat in the wild. But we've actually got natural wild algae astaxanthin in our products.
It's a red algae.
It's a red algae, and you'll actually notice with the capsules they almost look black, but they're not. They're like a very, very, very deep red, and that's all that beautiful polyphenol carotenoid goodness in there, which is just so incredible for skin health. We get the most incredible feedback from people taking these omegas, like therapists that have been using other brands and then say, oh my God, these are the best products I've ever used, the highest quality, the best results that I've ever used. I'm pedantic about the quality with omegas because essential fatty acids are very delicate in their molecular structure, which means they easily oxidize or can get damaged. So even the way that they are processed, the extraction process can damage these delicate oils. And that means they can become oxidized and then they are more inflammatory in the
Harmful, yeah.
body and more harmful than
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So for me, I wanted to have the highest quality available, the most gentle extraction processes. And also we have them in a capsule form. We have them also with the antioxidants in there to preserve, if you like, in a natural way,
yeah.
the integrity of that oil. And that is why you'll find you don't get that heartburn that you can get with some oxidized fish
Right.
oils.
Oh,
And
dear.
it's almost like a heartburn, which is a sign that you've taken a rancid oil.
Rancid oil, right. I remember my mother, because I love eating walnuts, but she would say, don't buy the walnuts in the packet that are unshelved, because you'll see they go rancid very quickly. The more sensitive they are, they have potential to be a great nutritive element, but you've got to get them in the shell to get
You
the
do,
benefits.
and
Otherwise
you know,
go the
sometimes
other
if
way.
I do buy the shelled ones, the minute I open the packet,
Yeah, and you see,
I smell it. You can smell instantly,
yeah.
and I'm like, oh. And you don't know
throw it
until you
out,
bought
yeah.
them. Sometimes they are fresh. If
Yes.
you're lucky, you get a fresh
Yes,
batch.
that's right.
But they don't last long, and I keep
No.
all my nuts in the fridge.
They don't
too.
last long. That's true.
Keep your nuts in the fridge, Frank.
That's good recommendation, because the ones that are nice, they're fresh. They're practically juicy.
Yeah, and it's those beautiful good fats in there as well.
so the
Walnuts are
fats
great
in
for the
there.
skin and the
Walnuts,
brain
yeah.
too.
And I guess that for beauty therapists who are speaking with clients all the time, it's an easy leeway for them to look after themselves already, because they have a very hectic life. They work very
Hectic, yeah.
hard. They may not have. It's so easy to prepare one of these drinks and have all these beautiful a variety of vegetables and fruits, and fatty acids as well. So it's a really easy thing to do if you want to. It's not.
It's easy. Literally 2 teaspoons of the powders in water,
Yeah.
and then you can drink that, or you can add to a smoothie.
Yeah.
Really depends on personal preference. The omegas are literally three capsules a day, so very easy to take
Right.
and get down. So at least you know that you've had some fruits and vegetables and those nutrients in your diet if you have rushed out the door and just had a coffee and a piece of banana bread, which isn't great, but sometimes life happens and life gets in the way. So Vitasol has your back. We're here to support the therapists and the clients coming in, but also think about things like food prep. So you do take your lunch, or make a smoothie to take with you on your way to work if you don't have
So
time for
easy.
breakfast.
Yeah.
There are little things we can do just to make things a little bit easier to get those nutrients in the diet, and it really does make a huge difference.
And in a salon, I guess that they could introduce it as something to give either before treatment or after a treatment to the client, and it's something different. It's
I
out of
think
the
it's
norm.
great after the treatment,
After the
because
treatment?
the
Yeah.
therapist then has had time to obviously look at the skin, work on the skin.
Yeah.
They would have done a full consultation with their client, so they've got to know a little bit about the skin, what the concerns are, and then they can match the product to the treatment that was performed in clinic or to the client concern. So for instance, they may say, because you were concerned about pigmentation and aging, and this was the treatment that I performed on you today, here is a shot of the Infinity, this is your polyphenol prebiotic rich antioxidant vitamin C shot to help to support your skin from within. And they can give them that after the treatment.
It's a great thing. I think that clients would be wowed by that sort of attention and
just
care.
taking it as a little shot. I mean,
little
if, for
shot,
instance,
yes.
they're treating problematic skin, say that it's a hormonal acne type skin,
Yes.
they can say, this was the treatment that we performed for you today. This
Yes.
was all about rebalancing and deep cleansing of the skin. This is a shot for you that's going to really help to support the liver and gut health. And we always want to support liver and gut health when it comes to problematic skin. So this is your green shot to take today.
Well, thank you, Fiona. It's an absolute pleasure to talk with you. I could go without talking
My
on for
passion.
hours. It's your passion, and I'm very passionate about this too. I mean, we only have one body to live in.
I know, we do.
And we need to nurture it and take care of it. So it's always sad when I see someone who is in this amazing profession and they're not looking after themselves as they should.
I think we all go through phases, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I think we all go through phases of life where, maybe life gets on top of us, or we get out of habit and maybe pick up a few bad habits. And so I think, coming into Easter, maybe after Easter, after the chocolate eggs and the Easter eggs, and the buns. Now there's now is the best time to start. You can still have a bit of chocolate and an Easter bun, but maybe not the whole packet and not the whole packet of eggs. But now is the time to start, making those real simple changes, including, 30 different plant foods a week is a great place to start. Start to slowly introduce the Vitasol, and you will notice a difference. You'll notice a difference in energy, in gut health, in skin.
Straight away.
And even the radiance. The radiance in the skin as well. You'll really start to notice a difference.
And even though I have quite a variety of food, I felt that I had more energy when I started the Vitasol products. So that's saying a lot. Because, I count at least 15. Thinking, Fiona, what would she say if she saw my plate? But look, I want to continue our conversation, but what I've done is that I've asked some of our beauty therapists some of the topics that they'd like to hear you discuss. And so I've got many different suggestions, but the one that came that was the most popular, let's say, is the gut microbiome and the skin microbiome and the connection between the two. So let's keep that for our next conversation. I know you've got 1,000 things to say, if you're a beauty therapist and you want to connect with the Vitasol products, which you should, then we've got a link below this video where you'll be able to find out all about the Vitasols and how you can get them into your salon. It's something that will complement your treatments and certainly will help you give your clients the glow and the radiance and the health that everybody seeks. We all want to look younger, but younger is one thing. It's not younger by being stretched or younger by hiding behind makeup. It's youth that comes inside out, and that's what Vitasol can do. Also, if you want to join a community of passionate, health-minded skincare therapists, then subscribe to our channel, and you'll be able to keep updated with groundbreaking ideas and practical advice. So please join us. It'll be great to have you there, and take care. And that's all from me.
Thanks,
Fiona.
Frank.
Thank you very much for being with us.
My absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Visit our website to claim your free trial pack or schedule a consultation or in-salon demonstration.